Hello, and happy Friday. Thank you for joining me on yet another episode of Mental Health, the New Wealth. I am your host, Nikita Nicole, the Illuminist, and I am so excited that you decided to join me on yet another episode. I am super excited about this episode because we are adding another addition to the Mental Health, the New Wealth relationship series. We have discussed what relationships are, what emotions are, how we connect one to another, and this episode is special to my heart because we're going to be interviewing two special people that have found each other in their journey in life and relationships. They are a multicultural couple who decided to put their love on the forefront in this chosen life partnership. We will discuss their relationships prior to them meeting, how they met, and how their relationship is going now that they have decided to make this journey of life together. Mental Health, the New Wealth family, meet the angels. Sit back, relax, and let's get into this episode. Before we get into this episode, let me say that I am not a licensed mental health professional nor doctor, although I will host licensed professionals as guests from time to time. The mental health difficulties discussed on this podcast will come from extensive research, life experiences of myself and others, and are not to be taken as diagnosis, prescription, or cure to any health mental difficulties or disorders. If you are experiencing deep mental health difficulties of any kind and have lasted for any duration of time, please contact your local mental health professional for assistance with treatment. If you or someone you know is suffering with mental distress or thoughts of suicide, you are not alone. Please call the toll-free National Suicide Prevention Hotline, open 24/7 at 1-800-273-8255. Again, that is 1-800-273-8255. Now let's get into the episode.
And not that either.
Welcome to Mental Health, the New Wealth. I am your host, Nikita Nicole, the Illuminist, and thank you for joining us on another episode. I am so excited because I have my family here with me today on this first part of the relationship series, Larry and Portia Angel. How are you today?
Hello.
Hi, we're doing so well. Thanks for having us.
Absolutely. I'm so excited that you guys were the first part to jump off this series because I've been knowing y'all for a minute.
Mm-hmm.
You almost Portia my whole lifetime, and Larry, I've been knowing you for quite some time, and it's just been feeling like I've been knowing you guys forever. So your relationship in general is so genuine and so unique that I had to have you guys on and talk to you guys about your experience and what you guys have gone through individually and as a couple.
Cool.
So let's hop right in. So speaking to you both, and you guys can go one after another or whatever it is that you guys do. What were your relationships dealing, your connections in relationships? What were you guys' relationships prior to you guys being connected?
Well, I'm going to say that in one word, dysfunctional. I mean, that's pretty much the sum of it. I would attract guys who would ghost, who were narcissistic, who were just all types of just unavailable. That was my primary experience. And a lot of that stemmed from my own personal low self-esteem, not having been taught what true love really was from my family. I didn't have parents who were together coming from a broken home. So that was the programming of relationships that I had. And that is what I attracted prior to meeting Larry.
Definitely. I had some good experiences, but also some really severely bad ones. I had this thing about me where I did not want to be alone. So like I would take whatever came, and then eventually you just get tired of it and realize that you deserve better. And after that, that's when Portia came into the picture.
Okay, so you guys both basically experienced some things and had to learn, some lessons individually before you were kind of able to open up and experience the potential or the possibility of what love can be. So that was pretty interesting because I think that we all go through that in a way. You have to kind of go through your own trials and tribulations before you're able to do the work to have better.
Definitely.
And so that's very powerful that you guys have shared that with us today. How did you guys meet?
Funny story.
You know,
Right?
do you want to tell it or do
No,
you
I
want
got this because it was me. Her birthday, January 2nd.
Mm-hmm.
Mine is January 20th.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I was like, oh, cool. Her birthday's in January. And I saw that she played guitar and that she was fine as hell.
Oh my
Fact.
gosh,
Huh?
that's sweet. But hold on,
Fact.
honey,
Huh?
you're missing. Saw that where?
On Facebook.
Okay.
Oh, so you was lurking online.
I was lurking online. I can't help it. You know, when you single, you know, you do that kind of stuff. You know.
Okay.
But I just inboxed her, said happy birthday, and it kind of went from there. I was talking. She was doing like these maybe 5-word responses.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, all right, well, if she keep talking, I'm going to keep talking.
Whether it was 1 or 5 words,
yeah.
I'm going to keep talking.
I said, I'm going to keep talking. And it kind of went from there. And I remember the first time that we went out, like I was super busy. So like it was crazy. There was a lot going on at the time. I called her and I said, hey, I got about 2 hours free. You want to go grab some dinner? And she's like, okay. I remember we went to a casino out there. I don't even remember the name of it.
Because Vegas has a million casinos.
Yeah, Vegas has a million casinos. And we were trying to eat something there. And the restaurant was closed.
Larry had no preparation.
No preparation.
Didn't know where we were going. When we got there, the place was closed. So we're on a mission now
To
at
find another.
9 or
Only
10
had
o'clock
2
at night.
hours.
Yeah. And at 9 o'clock at night, trying to find something to eat. And I'm like, he didn't prepare and think this through at all.
No, I didn't. I just wanted to see her and hang out with her, you know. And so we ended up going to another restaurant another casino that had a
TGIF.
chill.
It was TGIF, yeah.
Yeah, same thing. They were all the same thing. But we ended up eating there and found out that like some of her health restrictions and stuff like that. And I said, the next time I promise I'm going to make this up to you. So it was about a week later. I invited her over. I fixed everything that she could eat. So like I went out and bought like a huge salmon steak and made it, made the vegetables the way that she could eat it, and then also the potatoes the way that she could eat it.
Mm-hmm.
And
even now the story gets me because you know how they say the way to a man's heart is through his stomach.
Mm-hmm.
For me,
that ain't lying.
It's the opposite direction though, because I've dealt with psoriatic disease and it's highly food induced. For me, that was the case because him doing that was almost like sealing the deal. Like this person went out of their way to create a meal that was healthy and safe for me to eat. No one had ever done that before.
That's major sweet.
It was like, really?
And it was good too.
It was good. That salmon, I don't think you made a salmon that tasted that good since.
No.
I mean, you can cook, but I'm saying that was special.
Yeah, it was good.
It was prepared in love. He was trying to pitch his woo.
He really was. And I was like, okay, you got some brownie points. And so the rest was history.
Oh, that was sweet. So from there, that dinner,
Mm-hmm.
y'all was just good from there. Y'all decided that we're gonna continue to date.
We just decided that we would continue to see each other, and then I think over the next probably, because that was in January.
Things escalated. I'll say, excuse me,
like around February, maybe the end of February.
Well, so from my perspective, real brief, the way we met was online. I never thought that I would meet my husband online. Turns out we have been friends on Facebook for 4 years.
Okay.
Never knew. I was like, how have we been friends? And he would always say happy birthday. I went in our message box and I was like, every year he would send a happy birthday. And I had never paid attention to it
Mhm.
until 2019 when he sent that other message. And so I thought it was really strange. And honestly, the only reason why I started talking to him in my one line responses, because I really was not interested in dating anybody, was because he happened to have lived in Vegas, and I was going through a really terrible time being there.
Mhm.
And so I thought, well, maybe this is an opportunity to meet someone else new here in the city, because I just wasn't having the greatest experience. And so that literally was the only reason that I continued to have a conversation. Then it turned out, as like short and kind of lightweight mean as I was, he was still being so nice and forthright. Finally, it was like, Portia, you can be nice to this dude.
You
Come on now. You ain't got to be like that. And then it was like Urkel weighing Laura down on Family Matters.
I'm wearing you down, baby.
I was about to say this. I'm wearing you down.
Exactly.
But and that's good to make a mention too, also, because a lot of times, because of our past hurts and woundings, we're not open. We're not receptive.
Scared.
Yeah, you're
so
scared. You say that I'm cutting this door off. I'm not seeking that. And then, by God's grace, you were not having a great time and wanted some companionship in that space.
Well, more so a friend, because I'm going to be honest with you. I was a serial dater when I was in Vegas. I mean, like, I decided I'm going to get on every app and I'm going to enjoy whatever meals I can get for free. I know that sounds terrible.
Larry,
I did not know that.
Because look,
you one
I
of
was
them.
in one of this other meetup group, and they were like, "Yeah, you going out for free meals?" And I was like, "Who do that? Like, who go out to just eat?" So you was one of them.
I was one of them, but but it wasn't just that though. Like, I was trying to practice, because again, I didn't have healthy dating taught to me or healthy relationships. But at the time, it was just becoming so inundating. I just was like, you know what? I'm done with this. I don't need another free meal. I'm tired of swiping right and swiping left. I'm not interested in dating someone for the practice or the fun of it. I really want marriage, and I'm tired of playing those games and saying that ain't what I want, or not saying that's what I want. So when Larry came, and I could tell, that he kind of, had a thing for me, I immediately said, listen, thank you for, the flattery, but I'm not interested in dating anybody. I've done enough of that. What I want is courtship for marriage. And if that's not what you want, I completely understand.
That's very interesting to know and understand. And another one of the questions that I have for y'all is, what was different about y'all relationships versus past relationships? And I noticed that you said you were not playing. You wanted to date for courtship, and a lot of people don't do that, and they give of themselves, and later on, a year down the line, you found yourself in a relationship that hasn't gone anywhere and you're empty. So what did that conversation feel like for y'all, or what were the talks that y'all had about, we are dating for a purpose?
Well, I know I was probably the one who initiated it, because again, I turned Larry down. He said, I really like you, and I'm interested in dating you. And I immediately was like, thanks, but I'm good, because I'm not interested in just dating anymore. I have done so much of that, and I'm at the place in my life where I am strong enough, and also willing to walk away from the table. I'm not missing and losing anything. I've actually lost more engaging in things. So yeah, I told him, I'm not interested in dating. I'm interested in courtship for marriage. And if that's not what I was literally ready to walk out the door, because I had always gotten to that point, and it was like guys would ghost, or they wouldn't, be honest or forthright, or I would trip up and choke up and not say what was really true for me. So then I would just go along the ride of nowhere with them. And I said, no, I'm not doing that to myself anymore. And so when I told him, yeah, this is what I want, and if you don't want it, it's cool, and I understand, and he was like, wait, hold on. We want the same things. I didn't want to come out and scare you with all that. But it was so refreshing, because I think it really set the tone for what our trajectory was going to be. In fact, I never considered us dating. It was strictly courtship. So it wasn't, how cute you look, how googly you make me feel. It was, let's talk about your credit. Let's talk about how I relate to people. Let's talk about where we want to live. How many kids do you have? Let's talk about our belief systems. It was like we just bypassed all the frilly-nilly dating stuff and went straight to the jugular. And then later on down the line, we found ourselves having those dating moments. But it was like, nah, let's keep first things first. If we're really going to walk down this direction, we need to make sure that we're compatible.
And a lot of people say that they want something that's real. I want someone to come out and tell me the truth or be forthright with me. But like, you were saying, Larry, like, that almost might scare somebody. So it's like one moment you saying you want somebody to be honest, but if you were to come out and just be like, look, you know what I'm saying? I want you, this what's up, da 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 da, then the thought of that scaring the person away, was looming in the back of your head. So it's like people say one thing, but actually mean another. But it was good that you guys were able to, talk about that. And Larry, what was your perspective on the
Yeah, I
courtship?
do want to know, that I scare you away?
No, it didn't scare me away. So like at that time, I think I was probably like around, I'm 39 now. I think I was probably like around 35 or 36. I think 35. Yeah, I think I was around 35. And at that time, like I was pretty set in my career, and I'd really done everything that I'd set out to do as far as like traveling and touring and all kinds of stuff. And I was looking at the next phase of my life, and that's when it got serious. Like I was like, yeah, I don't want to do like the dating thing, and so for me, that was that I thought, I was like, man, I really like this girl, but I don't want to scare her off right now. So, but when she brought it up, that was kind of like, that put me at ease, and then we were able to go there, or go from there, and just really learn like the deep things, like those uncomfortable conversations, like credit, on that stuff can get
major,
really uncomfortable, and like the kids talk, but like that credit stuff, man, that could stop you from getting a lot of stuff in the future. So if you're listening, get your credit in order.
Really, because you would be, in the structure, and there's so many modifications to what a relationship looks like now. But for the men and the women, it's important to have those things in order so that you can maneuver how you want to.
Because I'm going to tell you, love is important, but people love each other every day and don't make relationships because of bad financial decisions, just bad decisions, period. So love isn't enough to carry you through those. Like, for instance, I brought COVID into the house one time. I thought we wasn't going to make it. Like I really thought I made a terrible decision. That I was at this rehearsal, took my mask off, and I got COVID, thinking that I could trust the people that I was there with. I brought that to the house. She really didn't talk to me, or if it did, she was very short, like for a whole 2 weeks.
Like I was in the clear.
Yeah, I really didn't. I was like, man, I don't even know if we're gonna make it through. Like it's stuff like that, like decisions, bad decisions. It takes more than love to make it in a marriage.
Absolutely. So that was really deep to share, because as the head of household, small infraction and just being around someone who was not as mindful, puts you and your family into a tough situation. So that was deep in itself, because you guys then had to learn how you guys would react to each other, how you guys communicate, what would happen in that type of situation. Right. You don't really know until you get to that point.
Right. So like getting through that let me know that we can really get through anything.
But also not to take each other for granted. Being mindful of our decisions, because just one small slip up, and that can be in anything in life. It can cost you. So I think it just helped us to really recognize, and it's a reminder even now, like, think about what you're doing before you do it, because you're not just an island to yourself. How does this affect your spouse? How does this affect your children if you have them? How does this affect your finances? How will this affect, anything that surrounds your union?
And after you guys went through that, it actually, gave you guys more tools, for communication and, being with each other, and then drew you guys closer.
And helped us make more responsible decisions.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
So the initial question being, what has been, and I think you guys answered some of that, but just to kind of flesh that question out, what has been the difference in past relationships versus you guys' relationship now?
So this one is a whole lot easier. Like, I feel like a relationship shouldn't be stressful. I heard a quote that somebody said that if you say you can't handle me, you definitely don't bring peace to a relationship. So, like, I value peace over anything. Like, I'm too old to be dealing with like
Drama.
stressful situations. Like, I would just rather, if that was the case, I would just rather be alone. So, like, I really like the peace, the friendship, like, and because we actually enjoy being around each other. Like,
we do. I actually like them.
And that's a plus because a lot of people do not necessarily, they see the benefits of a relationship or kind of approach the relationship in a hypergamy kind of way. But when you really like a person, it just makes it that much more solid.
In addition to what he said, to me, honestly, Larry is one of those people that I think the world can take several pages from, when it comes to overall relating and how to love people, how to be understanding, how to be willing to work through things. I have never met someone who was that. And so I learned a lot from him in terms of how to be more like that. That is what I would say is the biggest difference in this relationship versus the previous ones. I learned a lot, don't get me wrong, from the other relationships, but it was never anything that was loving in the sense of what I have with Larry now. It was more so what not to do and who not to be with. With Larry, he makes me want to be a better person. And so just communication overall. I would also say the difference in this relationship, even if you're not getting married, premarital counseling is amazing because it helped us work out how to have healthy communication. That was something that I had never done in any previous relationship because I never put marriage on the table. Instead of being focused on having a relationship, it was more so like, we're just going to get on the ride and see where we go. And I live now by, if you fail to plan, you are planning to fail.
Absolutely.
And so I took Larry and I's coming together very seriously. Like, we need all the things, we need all the tools, because this is our first time doing this the healthy way. I want to make sure that we get the counseling that we need so that we can set ourselves up to be as successful as possible. I think that was the biggest difference now versus then.
And people that are willing, make a conscious decision to go into a long-lasting commitment without counseling, without some, guidance on getting tools that we can both use, because you have things that you learned as you were growing up, as what communication looks like, what to do when you're angry, how to speak to someone, and so did he. And so when people come together with that, it's like y'all don't have the tools to communicate to one another. Right. And a lot of times people aren't willing. Well, this is the way I grew up. This is how we communicate. This is how, but that does not set the foundation for a long-lasting relationship. So I'm not even necessarily saying that it has to be up under any particular faith.
Right.
But you need to go to some sort of counseling, and then they will help you to bring up the things like credit, the things like children, communication, because a lot of times you guys are able to just get into that, but a lot of times people are scared, timid of those topics, or even just talking about real stuff, but you want to be together.
But see, the thing is you can deal with it and pay for it now, or you can be forced to deal with it and pay for it later in a way that you ain't expecting.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, let's have those uncomfortable conversations now up front, because they're just conversations. Where it gets problematic is when you don't do that initial work in conversing and you just jump into stuff with people, and now you're in situations where it's not just, we could have talked about this and ironed out some kinks to set us on a good pathway. Oh, now we're in turmoil. We have no plan. We have no tools. And now we're fighting because we didn't have an understanding on where we were both coming from and how to effectively deal with this situation, or how to avoid it altogether.
Yeah.
That's the difference. I would rather have those uncomfortable conversations in the beginning.
Hypothetical.
Right. So that we can have a smoother sailing versus getting out on the boat of love and marriage. And now it's rocky and people are about to jump ship.
So a part of the uniqueness of your relationship is you guys' different ethnic backgrounds. It's so very important to kind of break this down. And I want us to start by saying that initially, we all want someone that is loving, that is kind, that checks off those boxes on our list, right? But what if they don't look like, or what if they're not in the ethnic background that we perceive that it would be? And in my head, I love my brother to death. Like, we damn near 11 days away in birthdays. So we are damn near the same person. But in my head, I was like, damn, my sister is so happy. But I couldn't see kissing a white man. Like, I couldn't see that. But it's just like, are you kissing a white man, or are you kissing the love of your life?
Right.
Are you kissing someone, or being with someone, or building a life with someone that you guys have chosen to take this journey together? And so I would like to say, so far as being, the devil's advocate also, I was watching this show on Netflix called like The Pods or something. And there was this couple that got together, and he was like Irish and she was Black. And they were the only ones on that show that end up kind of making it and being very successful. And so there is this notion subliminally that is put out there that if you were to wait, and I always tell people this, look, you're going to either wait or you're going to date. You're going to wait for who you feel like you should be dating, or you're going to go ahead out there and see what the world has for you. So there is this notion to say that to wait on a quote unquote Black man or an ethnic man to be with, you're going to be waiting. You know what I mean? There's so many relationships that I see that are thriving and flourishing, and they're not same ethnic groups. So let me ask you guys, being a multicultural couple, and you guys can say, since we can't really see you, I can see your beautiful faces, but since the people can't really see you, what you guys are, if that is a thing. Like,
so yes, I am white. I am a tall white man.
Very tall.
Yeah, very tall.
A white man. Okay.
Country. I am country.
Oh, that part. Yeah.
Okay.
I am country. I am from West Virginia. So that I married a Black lady, being from West Virginia, is a feat in itself from everything that I've been told.
And I am, as Larry said, a Black woman. However, coming from California, where
not just California, say it.
Coming from Oakland, is that what you want to hear?
Hey,
you gotta rap for your say. Rap for your say. Thank you, Larry.
Oh my gosh.
No, you rap where you from?
You feel me? Thank you, Larry. Yeah. So being from Oakland, California.
Oh Lord, today being from Oakland, California, the home of the Black Panthers. You can see my, imaginary fist.
And Golden State Warriors. Facts. Come on.
What's up, my mental health, the New Wealth family? It's your girl, Nikita Nicole, the Illuminist. And have you heard about Anchor by Spotify? It's the easiest way to make a fire podcast with everything you need in one place. Let me explain. On Anchor, you have tools to record and edit your podcast on your phone or computer. The great podcast that you create can be heard on Spotify, Apple, Google Podcasts, and more. It's all that you need in one place. So go to your app store and download Anchor, or go to anchor.fm and get started. That's anchor.fm. And let's get this going. I'm ready to hear an amazing podcast. Tell them Nikita Nicole of Mental Health, the New Wealth sent you.
So yeah, coming from Oakland, it was definitely hood, and we had an ethnic mix of people, and so everybody was cool with each other. In California, that's just the vibe. Like, you just kind of see different people from all walks of life, and there's nothing abnormal about you sitting at the same table, you having friendships or whatever. But I will say, coming from Oakland, it wasn't typical that you saw a lot of interracial coupling, especially from the hood. You were expected to be with a black man. My family never had that conversation with me about it, because we actually had quite a bit of interracial dating and marriages within our family. So it was just like, cool, like, it is what it is, and there's no love lost. It was actually all the more that I think coming to the point of a lot of pain dealing with dating in my quote unquote community, I really had to take the limitations off of whatever expectations were placed on me, being a black woman, and the whole conversation about black men and the term black love. For me, it was love is love. And I'm not going to limit myself from whatever God may have for me. I'm not going to put stipulations on what the packaging should look like, because I think a lot of times we can miss our blessings not seeing the true love and essence of a person. And as I began my spiritual walk, I just began to get rid of those layers in my own life. I'm not limited to my color. If I was, I wouldn't have gotten to be a part of a bunch of career experiences that I had, because I was a woman. I kind of removed myself from that, because I stepped into environments where you didn't really see women, or you didn't see black women. And so just removing myself out of those constraints and really getting to the heart and the core of who I was, it allowed me to just start experiencing people on that level in general. So when Larry showed up, it was all about his heart. I didn't care where he came from, what he looked like, but the fact that he was tall and handsome.
Girl.
You know what I'm saying? And he had that, John B flavor of the Caucasian persuasion. I was like, shoot, we got more in common than people know. So that's my spiel.
Larry.
John B. I'm a fan
really?
of John B.
You gonna sit here and act surprised?
What people say.
First of all, he's John B's cousin. They just don't know it.
Oh, see, boom.
Color is very interesting, but color is not culture. Because I'm gonna be honest with you, Larry, in a lot of ways, is more quote unquote black than I am.
I've seen movies she hasn't.
Okay, like typical black car movies.
Lied about that.
No, I'm serious. Like, he would ask me, have you seen New Jack City? Have you seen Boys in the Hood? Have you seen, like, this was stuff that I should have known about. And he would do it and see it and be involved with certain people in certain circles. And I was like, nah, I'm not. He was like, what? And I'm thinking,
she has never seen Harlem Nights.
I haven't.
I don't even want to talk to you at this point. So
don't do me that way.
What was your take on?
Well, we can we go back to like childhood and stuff like that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes. So like, I grew up in the country, and there was not. I remember going to a high school that my whole high school career, there was one African American person that came there.
Oh, wow.
It, like, hearing the N word from a child up was not uncommon. And like, I'm going to say, people are taught to hate. So like, the thing that happened to me was, I was a basketball player, so I played travel basketball, and I was on a team with with African Americans, with all kind like Indians and just different people. And I learned that what they say about these different
Other ethnicities, yeah.
demographic of people, that is not true.
Mm-hmm.
Like I remember this Indian gentleman, we had to go out of town to play,
Mm-hmm.
and he took me in like his son. He made sure that I ate.
Mm-hmm.
Like if we went out to the mall or something, he's like, "Or do you want something?" And like he just really took me in and showed me like love.
Yeah.
That's basically what that was. So like from a young child, I learned like that's not how that was. And then when I when I got up into high school, my cousin actually started dating a black guy from Atlanta,
Okay.
and and so that kind of opened the door in my family because like uh, a powerful story. So my aunt, she was talking to me one day. She's like, Larry, I didn't even realize that I had these feelings and
Mm-hmm.
stuff until my daughter started dating somebody outside of our race. And she's like, God worked on me on that.
Mm-hmm.
Like when I realized like I would not see heaven because of the dislike and hate that I had for somebody just because of the color of their skin.
Mm-hmm.
She's like, God changed me. And through that, that's how I was able to like go outside and look outside of my race. And then I've been a musician my
Mm-hmm.
whole life, and mostly predominantly playing for like black artists and stuff like that, and being in predominantly black churches and stuff like that. So like I just got to know people for who they are and not what they look like,
Mm-hmm.
because skin is it's just like a layer. It's, you know what I'm saying?
It's a suit.
It's a suit. Yeah, it's a suit. So um, when we linked up, I really wasn't hung up on like the difference between our races. I was more interested in the person that she was,
Mm-hmm.
and the heart she has. It was more of like the heart thing than the looks thing. Although she is fine as hell.
Oh
You hear
my
me?
He is
gosh,
fine,
stop.
bro. You fine.
She is.
Not for real,
Y'all.
like real fine.
Thank you, sister.
And so it was important that you guys were able to get past that
Right.
because you were able to do so. You guys have embarked on this beautiful love that is an example for all of us to see and start getting our shit together. You gonna wait? Or you gonna date?
But I do want to say, like, if your preference is the same race as you, I have friends that have very successful marriages that are African American, and I look up to them. So like this stigma of it just being like a black, I think that's men. Period. We are a childish creature. So it takes us a while. It can take us a while to get ready to be husbands. Like there was a statement that I heard that you got to want to be a husband more than be a husband, and I think that's men in general. I don't think that's a race thing. I think that's men. Like some of us, we're cool with being with different girls every day. We're cool with that. So like I don't like the fact that it's been stuck on a demographic.
So you guys really were candid in sharing your experiences with, dealing with color and race individually and collectively. But now that you've been in this relationship for how long now?
4 years.
4 years.
4 years. Hey, that's the number of foundation. Okay. Good sturdy foundation. Now that you guys have been in this relationship for 4 years, what societal responses have you guys received, if any, in being in this multicultural relationship?
From the people who know us, who love us, it's been very supportive. For the most part. I will say though that, just coming from a Black perspective, when you see other people that are dating or marrying outside of their quote unquote race, which I don't even like that term because we're all the human race, but their ethnicity, I'll say, you can kind of get those looks like, oh, if looks could talk, it would be, I never saw you with this particular person. Or you sometimes will get those stares from people you don't know. And it's the stare of, well, what is she doing with him? Or what is he doing with her? That type of thing. And I liken it to other people's ignorance. It used to make me feel very like uncomfortable. I can't say that I really have observed that or experienced that recently as much. But I also will say there were some people at a point in my life years ago who were kind of on the Black man is God and the white man is the devil before I even met Larry, because I just have a rainbow of friends who I consider family to me. And when I realized, like, you're talking about people who I love,
Right.
You don't even know what you're talking about. I had to cut those people off. I literally had to cut those people off because for me, it was very limiting and very ignorant and damaging in the sense that, you're going to demonize someone who I love and who God loves. So I had to disconnect myself from those types of mindsets and really surround myself with people who understood things that were higher than that, and so, yeah, I can't say that we really experience that now, but Larry knows me. Try me if you want to in these streets and you might get some smoke. And I think Larry is kind of the same way. I think I might be a little bit spicier than him, but like I'm so protective over the ones I love and protective over this 6'7" man that is my husband. But like, seriously, don't say nothing crazy. Don't say nothing crazy about him. And you can say something crazy about us, but don't say nothing crazy about him because I will punch somebody in the mouth. Like, I'm not, and he knows that. He has had to pull me back in certain instances.
In a large part, my friends have been pretty accepting. Like I have a huge demographic of friends, so I've not really noticed us out, and people look. She'll tap me on the shoulder and be like, "Did you see the way that lady looked over here?" I'm like, "No, babe," and I think that's just because I can really care less. So like, I really don't even pay attention to like how people look at us or anything like that. Now, like if they want to try something, like I remember but yeah, this man tried my wife. I got out the car so quick, and
And I got scared.
I was about to whoop his tail. It got hot real quick.
What did he do?
So like, she was we were in her car, and I don't know. I don't think he saw me. She had her door open, and I was like, "Honey," I said, "I think that guy's want to get past us." So she closed her door, and he ran by, like drove by and flipped her off.
And was about to run my door
And was about
over.
to. I got out the car and I was cussing him out. I said, "Son, I will whoop you. You apologize to my wife right now."
What this older white man didn't know was you just disrespected a Black woman and didn't think she had a covering. You didn't think she had protection.
Right.
He had no idea the bulldog that is Larry that hopped out of the other side of that car.
I was about to flip his car over.
You could see this man was like a deer caught in the headlights.
And we are the most unprotected,
That's true.
undervalued. And so, yeah, you thought it was going to be someone that you can just, do whatever to with no consequence.
Right.
And B-Law wasn't having it. He wasn't having it.
There was a guy. I am really protected. We were in Miami walking the street, and this guy, he just kept walking by, he was shorter than her. He was probably about this, so he was looking up and smiling at her. I was like, dude, I said, I will throw you into this window. Keep moving. Yeah.
I vaguely do remember you doing that.
Yeah.
Because that's when I was like, oh God, who have I married? The white Suge Knight? Like, dude is on. And I was like, would you calm
Do
down?
we have a problem?
Do we have a problem?
So that's good in the 4 years that you guys haven't had, like very big, societal backlash to your relationship.
And I think it has a lot to do with where we are too. Like Atlanta is pretty much a melting pot of like different races and different racial relationships and things like that. I think that has a lot to like if we were like in a smaller city, maybe not even a smaller city, but like a smaller town, I think it could possibly be worse than what it is. But I think where we are has a lot to do with it.
Absolutely. So through everything that has gone on, I'm glad that you guys have, made very clear your relationship and how you guys chose to move forward in that relationship, learn different tools and ways of communicating. You guys worked on the things that you needed to work within yourself, so far as past relationships, whether it be racial issues, whether it be some self worth or self-esteem things that you guys needed to work through to make yourselves better for one another, to be able to even be on the vibration of this relationship. And I'm just glad that you guys were obedient to that calling, because if not, I wouldn't have anything to model, what real love looks like in someone that is so close to me or that I've known for so long. So what does the angel future look like?
Well, do you want to answer?
Like I think we're getting ready for like the kids thing. Yeah, like I think that is probably like the next step, like in our relationship. But like we're looking into like different investments and things like that. Yeah, like hopefully by the time we're 50, we'll have several rental properties and
couple of
kids.
Okay.
Yeah, I think overall it's expansion. It's holistic expansion. It's our family, our network and connections and friends, our businesses, portfolios, financially, real estate wise, whatever else may come along our way. I know that, one of the things that I was told by other married friends of mine when it came to expanding in the future, they would say, do not rush anything. Do not rush having children. And I'm so glad that we got married later in life. Well, was considered later in life, because a lot of people, at least when I was younger, I wanted to be married in my early 20s. And I'm so glad that I was not allowed to do that, no matter how much I wanted to, because I probably would have ended up divorced, not fully knowing myself, not having matured the way that I thought I was at that time. And so now it's allowed us to really plan and like have kids in a more stable way. Because I know I was an accident. I know a lot of other people were not planned. Okay. I heard a comedian say, some of us was light bill babies. Some of us was $20 babies. Some of us were meatloaf babies. You wouldn't be here had your mom not been cooking meatloaf for your daddy and he decided to stay over. And honestly, what comes with those situations, child rearing. So it's really taking this generation of expansion and children to the next level of what we didn't have with our parents. Our parents did the best they could with what they had. We talked about that before, previous podcasts, but really wanting to give our children, and even children that we may adopt, where I for myself am open to not just looking at the biological possibilities, but also the possibilities to foster and adopt
Definitely.
children who are also here,
Absolutely.
who need love, because we offer such a unique perspective coming from an interracial platform. We've heard those childhood stories of biracial kids who don't feel like they belong anywhere because they're not black enough or they're not white enough, and feeling like they're being put down because they think that they're better, or in some regards outside society treating them better. And so we've had those conversations, because it's like, for me at one point, I'm thinking, I don't know. I know what it's like to be a black child. I don't know what it's like to be a biracial child.
Right.
And the biracial experience is not holistically the black experience. And so I even questioned having children in this country, especially when we were dealing with the last administration. There was so much political and cultural turmoil going on. I'm like, I don't want to rear a child in this environment. This temperature is toxic, you know, and so that really affected what I thought would be our future. I'm glad things have shifted, and hopefully they continue to shift in a positive direction when it comes to stuff like that.
That's awesome, and I'm looking forward to it. I will babysit.
Oh, you know you are number one
The
on
baby
the on
can
the
spend
list.
the night. And then it'll be time to get a baby back to y'all. So, thank you guys so much for just being open, being transparent, sharing parts of yourselves and your journey and your relationship and where you guys are today. I'll ask you guys individually as well as collectively, what would you tell the men and women out here in general about life or about relationships and seeking healthy relationships? And then what would you tell everyone as a united front as a couple?
The I think the myth of having it all together, like I don't think that's possible. Like I think you need to have a good foundation on where on a, or a good starting point. Like when she met me, I had nothing. I literally had nothing, and but I think that like just having a starting point, or like being willing
To get
to
something.
get something,
Yeah.
because it costs a lot to maintain a household,
Mm-hmm.
and so I would say I don't think, like, if you wait until you're absolutely financially prepared, I think you might be waiting for a long time, because you're always going to want more and more and more and more. But like, definitely have something prepared for them.
Absolutely. Portia?
For the ladies, I would just say make sure that you cultivate self-love first. You cannot expect someone to love you if you don't love you.
Yes.
And it sounds kind of crazy, because you think, well, what does that have to do with anybody else? You don't know true love if you don't give it to yourself first. You will actually repel true love if you've never really had it. And then when it shows up, you won't recognize it. You might, like I said, do something damaging to it. Sometimes we as women, we want men to love us in a way that we feel we need, because there's a void within ourselves. And I found that we harness the power to really draw true love from outside of us when we're emanating with it from within. So there's a song that I think an artist just brought out called Treat Me. And the premise of it is, treat me how I treat me. And a lot of times, at least in my past relationships, I found that guys, they treated me how I treated me. I wanted a man who paid attention to me, who understood my feelings, who was interested in getting to know me. And I was met with the hard truth: Portia, you don't pay attention to yourself, because you feel the churnings in your stomach and all the red flags going off about this particular guy, and you're not even listening to yourself. But you want somebody else to do for you what you haven't done yet. It doesn't work like that. So when it comes to really creating that relationship that you are truly desiring, give it to yourself first, and then it will come.
I say to that. And collectively?
I would say stay open. Stay open to whoever might be meant for you. They may be shorter than you expect. They may be taller than you expect. They may be of a different ethnicity. They may be in a different place. just to be open to whatever God has for you, because you just never know how things may show up.
I definitely agree with that. Don't take no wooden nickels.
What does that mean? Oh, you mean don't just settle for anything? Don't be
Yeah,
sold a
don't
lot.
settle for
Okay.
anything. Don't don't settle.
Okay, and there you have it there. So be open and willing to experience what the divine has for you, and don't take no wood nickels. So I hope this episode was able to open your mind and expand on how you view relationships, what you may or may not have to work on within your perspective in relationships. And what I did get from this episode is that you must first do the work, which we are always encouraging you to do here on Mental Health, the New Wealth, as you are doing your work on a daily basis to become the best you that you can be for yourself and for the collective. Always remember, your mental health is the new wealth.